Hello, welcome to another episode of In the Trenches with Gang Green. I'm your host, Bubbs. Today is Thursday, June 20th. Hopefully everybody is having a good day so far today. This is episode 318 of the In the Trenches with Gang Green podcast. I thank you, as always, for joining me. Those of you listening on all the different audio podcast platforms, and of course, those of you joining me on YouTube. For those of you joining me on YouTube, make sure to please like and subscribe as we get closer and closer to our 1,000 subscriber goal by week one, Jets Niners, the start of the NFL regular season. We continue to get closer to that goal of 1,000 subscribers. So appreciate all the support as always. Today we got a quick episode, some news that came out 2 days ago. Wanted to get the Michael Carter, DJ Reed episode up today, breaking down the contract decision the New York Jets will have to face involving those two players. And then I wanted to make a separate episode today, breaking down an interior offensive line signing that the New York Jets made, bringing in a UFL standout, Kohl Levao, who recently played the last two seasons in the UFL. So we'll break that down, where he fits on depth chart, what his potential role could be, if he'll make the roster, all that stuff, and of course what he brings to the table today on episode 318 of the In the Trenches with Gang Green podcast. Now, before we begin, let me tell you about our podcast sponsor, Huga House. Go down in the description down below, click the link in the description. That'll take you to the Huga House store, where you'll be able to browse and shop from a wide range of hats and t-shirts. When you find something you like, use promo code BUBS for 15% off any purchase at Huga House. If you want to get the hat that I'm wearing right now, for the YouTube audience, as you can see, the hat that I'm rocking right now, or the hats that have been seen on Aaron Rodgers and many other athletes that have worn Huga House hats, definitely, if you like any of those, definitely go get yourself some Huga House apparel, and at checkout, use promo code BUBS for 15% off your purchase. Help support the pod, get yourself some swag, and of course, help support Huga House as well. Really enjoying teaming up with them here on the pod. Now let's break down the signing that the New York Jets made about 2 days ago now. The UFL season has come to a close, and you've seen a couple UFL players already get signed, get picked up by a couple different NFL teams. I know the Giants picked up a UFL player, so the Jets pick one up as well. So the two New York teams bring in some UFL depth to their roster. And today we'll break down Kohl Levao, who the New York Jets signed. Just some quick background on him. He's 6'5", 324 pounds, so a very big body that the New York Jets are bringing in. He played college ball at Hawaii and then went to the UFL, never signed with a previous NFL team. So this is his actual first NFL contract. This isn't like a guy that was on an NFL team last year during camp or on a practice squad, then went to the UFL and is now trying to get back into the NFL. No, he went from college to the UFL to now getting an opportunity to play at the highest level in the NFL, where he'll get a chance to compete in a pretty deep, depth-wise offensive line room for the New York Jets. This is actually one of the largest contracts given to a UFL player, what the New York Jets are giving him. It's kind of a 3-year UDFA type contract. So a pretty big name coming out of UFL. One of the best offensive linemen, like I mentioned, out of the top here, was a UFL standout for the San Antonio Brahmas, where he played the last 2 years. And look, I'm not going to sit here and act like this guy is going to be the reason the New York Jets make the Super Bowl. I'm not going to sit here and act like this guy is going to help the Jets win 13 games, get a first-round bye, and all this great stuff. No, there's a chance he won't make the roster. But you look at these numbers, they are very impressive. Whether or not you want to value what he did in the UFL, whether or not you want to value what he did at Hawaii, which was kind of a lower D1 school, whatever that is, the numbers that he's produced over the last couple years of his football career, both college and, of course, in the United Football League, are very, very impressive. When you look at what he's done in the UFL over the last 2 seasons, he's had 0 sacks allowed over 806 pass blocking snaps the last 2 years. So he never allowed a sack in the UFL. On top of that, he did not allow a quarterback hit in 2024, which was this past UFL season for the San Antonio Brahmas. He played 494 pass block snaps. And along with this, PFF has actually done some coverage on the UFL where you can actually find some numbers on UFL players. Over the last 2 seasons, his PFF pass block grades are pretty impressive. He had a 77.3 pass block grade in 2023 and then a 76.2 pass block grade this past season. Now, the San Antonio Brahmas actually got to the UFL championship. I believe they ended up losing to the Birmingham Stallions, I believe. I'm not a UFL expert. I'll be honest. I don't watch a ton of UFL, but he's pretty fresh. He just came off of the UFL championship game where they did end up losing in that game. Now you go back a little bit too in time from his days in college. In 2021 at Hawaii, he allowed 1 sack and a 97% pass protection success rate. So look, this is a guy that hasn't played at the NFL level. This is a guy that hasn't played football at a very, very, very high level like the NFL or on a practice squad or on at training camp. This is his first NFL experience that he will get with the New York Jets when he competes for a depth spot at training camp. But you can't deny what these numbers look like. He never allowed a sack in the UFL. He didn't allow a quarterback hit at all last year in 400 or at all this past season in 494 pass blocking snaps. In 2021, he allowed just 1 sack in college and had a 97% pass blocking or pass protection success rate. And he's also versatile, which is, I think, very important for a guy that's going to play a depth role on this team. He played both guard spots over the last 2 years for San Antonio. And when you go back a little bit to his days at Hawaii, he played guard and center. So in his entire football career, he has played left guard, center, right guard, and right tackle. So he has played 4 of the 5 positions on the offensive line. The only one he hasn't played, doesn't have any experience at in an in-game environment is left tackle, which you feel good about the Jets at left tackle with Tyron Smith and Olu Fashanu. So it's not like the New York Jets are in a position where they need left tackle depth. You need depth in some other areas. You could use some of that other versatility. So it's actually okay that he doesn't have any experience there because they don't need any depth at left tackle. And he plays primarily interior, but he's shown the willingness to play right tackle. But primarily, he's a guard and has also played center. Primary position, though, he's guard. He can play center, has had experience at right tackle, but mainly he's a guard. But he has that versatility, similar to Wes Schweitzer, where, hey, he's had experience playing 4 or 5 positions. And you look at the way that his New York Jets room plays out. And again, it's a training camp body. Maybe he makes the 53-man roster, right? There's 90 guys, that are going to be, there's going to be 90 guys that are going to open up camp, right? You're going to cut about 37 to 40 guys. Some will make the practice squad. Some will get cut and go elsewhere. Some will get cut and not even get picked up. Maybe he gets cut. Maybe he makes the roster. Maybe he lands on the practice squad, whatever the case may be. But it's another body. It can't hurt. And I've also said this many times. I would still like to see the New York Jets go out and bring in Connor McGovern, who I think is waiting because there is no reason for these guys to sign in June. Maybe waiting to see a team become desperate and look at a guy like a Connor McGovern. So I could still see a Connor McGovern being signed. I don't think this is the final interior offensive lineman that the New York Jets are going to sign. I think it's going to be a lot of what they see during training camp. If early on in camp, the offensive line, specifically the depth, looks a little shaky, then they might go out and bring in McGovern. Then maybe Kohl Levao, this UFL standout, maybe does play a little bit more of a role than maybe we think this year, where he's actually on the active roster and actually a depth piece. I mean, ideally, you don't see this guy play a ton, right? Because that means everybody's staying healthy. That means everybody's playing well. But look, he'll have a chance to compete. I mean, you look at the 5 starters, right? They're all, depending on if the Jets hold 9 or 10 offensive linemen, you look at the 5 starters, they're all solidified, right? Tyron Smith, John Simpson, Joe Tippmann, AVT, Morgan Moses. So those are your 5. Then you have Fashanu, which is your 6th. Then Carter Warren's your 7th. Then you kind of have some guy like Wes Schweitzer, I think, will make this team. So he's probably 8. Then you have like your Max Mitchells, your Xavier Newmans, Brady Latham, your Chris Glazers, like those guys of the world that'll kind of compete for that final 9th, 10th offensive lineman spot. And now you add Kohl Levao. Now, if you go out and sign Connor McGovern, well, it makes things tougher for a Kohl Levao and some of these other guys, because then you're probably looking at McGovern being like a 6th, Fashanu, Carter Warren. That's about 7. Wes Schweitzer 8, let's say. I think Mitchell will probably make this roster. I'd be surprised if they cut Mitchell. And then it's kind of a battle for the final spot between like Xavier Newman, Brady Latham, who's a UDFA, Chris Glazer, Kohl Levao, those guys. So he'll have a chance to compete. I don't know if he'll make the roster. It's not going to be easy, but it's a training camp body. It's a guy that has a pretty cool background, pretty story that you can kind of get behind. A guy that's, shouldn't say pretty cool, but a story that is pretty motivating for a guy that some of the stuff he's been through, kind of being under the radar throughout his career so far, playing in the UFL, playing well, earning a spot on a training camp roster, and getting an opportunity to compete and get a chance to fight for a 53-man roster spot when all is said and done late in August before the season begins. So that'll do it for this episode. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below on this signing. Does he make the roster? What are your thoughts? If not, does he maybe get placed on the practice squad, or is this just the guy that's going to come in during camp, be a training camp body, and the Jets are going to roll with 10 guys they got, and Kohl Levao, and that might not be one of them. But before we close out, again, one more time, head on down and link in the description down below. Click on the link that'll send you to the Huga House store. When you find something you like, whether it's the hat I'm wearing right now or any of the hats that Aaron Rodgers wears a lot, when you go to purchase, at checkout, use promo code BUBS for 15% off any purchase at Huga House. Help support the podcast, help support Huga House, and of course, get yourself some swag that not only can be seen on Aaron Rodgers, you can also rock my Huga House hat today, and Shohei Ohtani, Josh Allen, ton of guys, Micah Hyde. Huga House is worn all over the place. You see a ton of MLB players wearing it. Rodgers, of course, wearing it. So pretty popular apparel brand if you want to get yourself some Huga House swag. Click the link in the description down below. Use promo code BUBS for 15% off at checkout. So that'll do it for the episode of In the Trenches with Gang Green. Stay tuned. A lot more content coming your way. Until next time, JETS, 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 Jets.